This is News at Noon on WCJB TV 20, your local station.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Myra Monroe. Hurricane Debby made landfall and is dumping rain and knocking down trees as it moves slowly across the state. Our meteorologists have declared today a first alert weather day. We have a team coverage from around north central Florida. First, let's go to meteorologist Danielle Van Pelt, who's tracking the storm for us. Danielle, has Debby been downgraded?
Thanks, Myra. And yes, according to our 11 a.m. advisory by the National Hurricane Center, Debby has been downgraded back to a tropical storm. Started off as our depression, tropical storm, Category 1 hurricane. Later last night at 11 p.m. came into north central Florida, that Big Bend region between Taylor and Dixie counties, as a Category 1 hurricane. And now at this hour, the 11 a.m., moving into the noon hour, still at a tropical storm, Debby, impacting still at this time north central Florida. Let's get a good look at what this system is delivering. Still heavy rain bands all across north central Florida at this time. Just about 35 miles just about west of the Lake City area is the eye itself. Still in the state of Florida, still impacting north central Florida at this time. Central Florida as well. These rain bands are huge and they're not going away anytime soon. But it's the rain bands that are back to back. If one's impacting your area, another one is right behind it here. Starting to let up just about into the east coast here. But later today, it will start to move closer and closer, still heading into that northeast direction here, impacting the southeast of the United States. Those rain bands will start to really slam the east coast later today as it retreats from north central Florida. We're going to continue to see rainfall all throughout the day. Late afternoon hours, it will start to let up the intensity of the rain. It will continue to rain across north central Florida. It's the late evening hours when it finally starts to move out of the area, and the rain, we get a bit of a break, starts to diminish until some more tropical rain as it starts to move north and northeast impacts us moving into our Tuesday. Wind gusts across the state of Florida, still pretty impactful into South Florida, over 25 miles per hour wind gusts, of course, where you go closer to the storm. Nearly 41 mile per hour wind gusts in Tampa, 38 mile per hour wind gusts in Gainesville, and 44 miles per hour in Jacksonville. Usually where the system is heading, the wind gusts start to get stronger. It's throughout that right quadrant of these tropical storms, these hurricanes that have the most intense winds and heavy rainfall. In terms of the sustained wind speeds here on the surface level, only 22 miles per hour at this minute here in Gainesville. These are always changing, 38 miles per hour in Cedar Key here. You move a bit more inland, starts to calm down just a little bit, but anything over 15 miles per hour wind speed, something worth talking about. Still a little gusty out there across north central Florida, helping push in some rain and flooding conditions. Debby has moved a long way. Yesterday, of course, impacted southwest Florida, the rain bands, but it made landfall into the state of Florida, technically impacting north central Florida as a Category 1 hurricane thanks to the very warm ocean waters. Now a tropical storm continuing to follow that northeast path, moving about 8 miles per hour here. Your winds, maximum sustained winds, will be 70 miles per hour, 74 to be a Category 1 hurricane, so still pretty strong tropical storm at this time. It just downgraded, but will continue to be a tropical storm as it starts to move closer and closer to the eastern seaboard here. It's going to be lasting for quite some time for those areas. So if you know people in Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, going north of that as well, want to make sure you give them a call. The reason we saw that tropical storm jump to a Category 1 hurricane is the very warm ocean temperatures, nearly 90 degrees here, almost into the Gulf of Mexico. We look at the Atlantic into the low 80s here in north central Florida. It takes about 79 to 80 degrees to withstand and sustain a tropical storm or hurricane. So since we're seeing 82 to 83 degrees in the Atlantic, that's enough to keep it a tropical storm impacting these future states it's about to make landfall in during the beginning and the middle of our work week here. If we take a good look here at our observed rainfall in north central Florida, this is updating, this is live, it's still continuing to grow. But half of Marion County now over 3 inches, not bad for this system, but on the other side of Marion County, we move a bit to the southwest here, over 7 inches of rain. Over 13 inches of rain, just about the Cedar Key area over north of Branford here, nearly 13 inches of rain as well. Obviously the Big Bend region and coastal areas got the most of this. Alachua County now over 8 inches of rain here in the orange. We move to this pinkish color here, nearly 10 inches of rain. This is continuing to grow. We're still seeing rainfall all across the north central Florida that is adding on to this. We'll recap here north central Florida, 100% chance of rain. It is a first alert weather day, but the good thing is all this moisture, this system will take the moisture with it. Wednesday, it's looking good. We're moving back to our typical summer pattern on Thursday, 40% chance of rain here in north central Florida. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the thunderstorms themselves start to return to our area. So do our high temperatures into the low 90s here. This is our typical summer pattern. Debby will no longer be a threat to our area. We're going to have more updates on Debby, potentially future disturbances impacting the Atlantic Basin, and what your summer weather will continue to look like coming up.
We have breaking news. A 13-year-old boy is dead after strong winds knocked a tree onto the mobile home he was in. TV20's Kayla Lewis joins us live near the mobile home. Kayla, what's going on at the home now?
The tree that fell is quite large, and according to the Levy County Sheriff's Office, they're still in the process of trying to remove the boy's body from the home. Let's take a live look right behind me. There's grapple trucks, one's pulling in right now to remove the tree. The Levy County Sheriff's officials said the boy died this morning. The boy's grandparents were home, but they weren't hurt. Levy County Sheriff Bobby McCallum says this is a tragedy they never wanted to see happen. He says the boy was sleeping and died instantly. He went to Chiefland Middle School. The grandparents have a camper and are looking for alternative places to live. We'll have another live update for you later in the show. Live in Fanning Springs, Kayla Lewis, TV20 News.
Gilchrist County leaders are warning residents to stay indoors as they begin to clean up what Hurricane Debby left behind. TV20's Alexis Goings joins us live from the Emergency Operations Center in Bell. Alexis, what are officials saying about the damage?
Well, there is no major damage, but I can say the county is seeing down power lines, down trees, and a lot of flooding. Now, Gilchrist County is one of the areas our meteorologists say is getting the brunt of it all because it's on the eastern side of Hurricane Debby. Now, I spoke with Gilchrist County Sheriff Bobby Schultz about when the cleanup should begin.
Well, right now our county is inundated with a bunch of water. The winds are starting to subside. We think after this next band goes by that we'll be able to get out on the roads and start clearing it up.
On the GCSO Facebook page, officials say State Road 27, US 129, and State Road 26 are closed. The sheriff advises everyone to continue to remain indoors and off the roads. But coming up, I'll tell you a message that the sheriff wants to address. Back to you.
Thanks, Alexis. We're getting a look at the extent of the flooding in Cedar Key. This is how it looks today. This video was submitted by viewer Michael Presley Bobbitt. Levy County Sheriff's deputies say a number of roads are underwater. Now here's another video, also from Michael Presley Bobbitt. The water is high enough to halfway submerge a car. As you can see, these are nighttime pictures that were sent in, and that is when the storm was starting to move in this way. Water is definitely moving there. And Levy County Sheriff's deputies shared these photos on Facebook. Deputies say they're monitoring for a second surge of water. The number 4 bridge is closed while hazards are being removed. Columbia County officials say crews are working to clear out debris for emergency responders. They're asking those who don't have to leave home today to stay off the roads as much as possible. And those downed power lines that we've been talking about mean lots of folks are without power. Let's check in now with TV20's Kristen Chase to see who is without electricity this noon.
Well, Myra, and good afternoon, everyone. This right here is a map from poweroutage.us, and this is a view of Florida. If you see a lot of those red spots, a lot of those are north central Florida. So starting off, this morning, as I was reporting on power outages, we were seeing around 230,000 people. Right now, it looks like around 298,000 customers are out. So to hone in a little bit into each of our areas, some of those major ones this morning and this afternoon, Gilchrist County, 67% of customers are without power. And then a big hot spot, Suwannee County, 93% of customers are without power. So that's 23,000 over in Suwannee County. Moving to Dixie County, definitely, we were following this a lot this morning as well. 77% of customers are out of electricity there. That's around 8,000 people. I'll do one more here in Levy County, 44%. So if you need assistance and to report an outage, you can call one of the numbers on your screen. To name a few, GRU is 352-334-2871. Ocala Electric is 352-351-6666. Clay is 1-888-434-9844. Duke is 800-228 888-8485. FPL is 1-800-468-8243. We'll also have this information on our website, WCJB.com. Well, viewers are sending in their photos and videos from the storm. This was sent in by Dan in Cross City, showing some flooding. So it looks like a lot of flooding there. A downed tree in Gainesville, a series of a few downed trees in here. This is in the Buck Ridge West neighborhood, sent in by Karina Bautista. Another downed tree in Gainesville, Northwest 8th Avenue, right before Morningside Park. And finally, this is another downed tree on top of a car in Northwest Gainesville. This comes from Gene Jones, and they say the car actually saved the house. So if you look up there, you can tell that. And you can share your photos or videos by going to WCJB.com and click on the Submit Photos and Videos button. You can also send them over email, Facebook, or through the TV20 news and weather apps. But please do not put yourself in harm's way, and we appreciate everything you can share. Back to you, Myra.
Thanks, Kristen. Well, it's a first alert weather day. Danielle is back with all the details on Debby and will tell us when the sun will make a comeback.
My client.
Hello, North Central Florida. Here at TV20, we are still tracking Tropical Storm Debby. Yes, you heard that right. No longer a hurricane, Category 1 hurricane. Debby now turned into Tropical Storm Debby. Still about 70 miles per hour is those maximum sustained winds. It's only 74 that classifies as a Category 1 hurricane. So yes, it just turned into a tropical storm, but we're still seeing some strong winds with this system since it just downgraded and currently still moving into that north-northeast direction. Still going to be heading to the southeast of the United States, impacting coastal areas just about north of our region here. But you're watching the time lapse with me right now, North Central Florida. It's still impacting North Central Florida at this time. Now that eye is just about 35 miles west of the Lake City area at this time. If we get a good look here in North Central Florida, these red boxes you're starting to see here are still some flash flood warnings for this region. Earlier today, it was stretched just a bit more south, impacting certain regions in Marion County as well. But since our updated 11 a.m. advisory, it has now started to retreat. Slowly but surely, we're starting to see some conditions starting to decrease just a little bit here, but still heavy rainfall, strong rain bands impacting all across North Central Florida at this time, and some strong wind gusts as well. The main threat, like we've been saying, is just the flooding is going to be the biggest threat for North Central Florida as soon as the system passes later this evening. Wind gusts across the entire state of Florida right now. Still South Florida seeing some strong wind gusts, even though Debby is very north of this region here. Fort Myers gusting to 30 miles per hour at this time, moving to the southeast coast of Florida into 26 miles per hour. However, in our region here, you see the purple shades just around the eye wall, but we have 38, nearly 40 miles per hour. These are constantly changing North Central Florida. This is the wind gusts. Tallahassee 33 and Jacksonville 40. The system is just going to stay about west of Jacksonville as it starts to move closer and closer to Savannah, Georgia, where we're expecting most of the intense flooding across the country to occur there and just about the Carolinas. But still out of Florida, North Central Florida is going to be the one of the regions here that is going to be seeing most of the intense flooding across our state. Debby's come a long way. It's a pretty slow-moving storm. It's starting to slow down just a little bit more. Land tends to do that. Water is the fuel, keeps these things moving and growing. Currently moving at 8 miles per hour into that north-northeast direction. Still, like I said, maximum sustained winds is currently 70 miles per hour, 74 to be a Category 1 hurricane, but it's on track to stay a tropical storm for quite some time. You'd think running into more land, it would slow things down, but since it's going to be hugging the Atlantic coast where there's still very warm ocean temperatures, it's going to give it that fuel it needs to continue its tropical storm formation and growth and start to move back inland into the southeast eastern seaboard there. But it will start to move out of Florida, not be a threat for us as we move into our Tuesday. Speaking of those warm ocean temperatures, still nearly 90 degrees in the Gulf of Mexico. This is how we jumped from a tropical storm to a Category 1 hurricane late last night around that 11 p.m. hour. And it moved in early this morning into North Central Florida, right around that Taylor and Dixie counties, into the Big Bend region, eastern areas of the Big Bend region as that Category 1 hurricane. According to our 11 a.m. advisory, now into a tropical storm, and it's going to stay that way. And thanks to these very warm ocean temperatures, it takes about 79 to 80 degrees to withstand that tropical storm and hurricane growth. 82 is perfect to keep it going. We zoom in here, north central Florida. We're going to be looking now at our observed rainfall. This is continuing to grow. This is getting updated in real time because we're still seeing rain all across north central Florida. Certain areas are starting to lighten up just a bit until the next rain band moves in to intensify some of that rain here. Nearly above on one side of Marion County, over 3 inches of rain, but on the other, just more south to the west here, 7.5, nearly 8 inches of rain. We move just a bit north into Alachua County, 8 inches of rain. Cedar Key, right around this region, nearly 14 inches of rain, nearly 14 inches of rain, and just about north of Brantford here. We move to this pink-purple color here, nearly 10 inches of rain around the Bell area. This is continuing to get updated north central Florida. Like I said, flooding is going to be the main hazard with Debby here. Certain areas will start to see some breaks in between the rain bands. This is good news, slowly but surely, right? But still, rain will be all across north central Florida, moving to the east coast. The heavy rain bands will start to move to the east coast later this afternoon, but continuing to see our typical thunderstorm level in north central Florida. This isn't good. In addition to the flooding we're already seeing now, we don't want any thunderstorms anymore impacting our area, but the clouds will return as the system starts to move into that north-northeast direction here, and will be clearing out later this evening, but still some remaining showers from the tropical rain for Tuesday overnight hours. Some typical thunderstorms return back to the region for the state, and Tuesday isolated thunderstorms thanks to Debby. Debby will continue to still make some rain into our area during the overnight hours for our Wednesday. It's Thursday, we move back to our typical summer pattern. Tornado watches across north central Florida, flash flood warnings as well. We are watching Debby constantly every hour by the minute, Monday morning to Monday evening, 4 to 10 feet of storm surge. We'll be talking about that soon. Inland areas still watching for isolated tornadoes. Still first alert weather day for the rest of the day. Typical summer pattern returns on Thursday, 40% chance of rain.
And our coverage of Debby continues. Stay with us.
I'm Eric, and this is Howard from Canner and Pintaluga. We're the pain.
And we are joined back with meteorologist Danielle Van Pelt. You've done a great job keeping us up to date on everything that's happening round the clock work from our meteorologists, and we appreciate that. Did want to give you a quick update from Cedar Key Fire Rescue that they were planning to open the number 4 bridge in Cedar Key at noon today. We had reported earlier that that was closed. Of course, the water is an issue, Danielle. Can you talk to us about what made making this storm unique, just the amount of water that it's dumping in the area?
You know what's unique? It's actually very similar to its older sister, Idalia, that we saw about last year. Obviously, Idalia was a major hurricane. That's the big difference there. But they followed a very similar path, and they came in right around the same time as well. But since it had that path where it traveled north, right, it brushed against coastal areas across the west coast of Florida and then impacted our area. And it's all about the winds. A lot of people get storm surge and flooding confused. Obviously, it's still a lot of water, but storm surge is thanks to the counterclockwise rotations these low pressure cyclones bring. So the intense winds, these strong maximum sustained winds, they push in the ocean, the lakes, the rivers into the shorelines, bringing in these high flooding conditions. On top of the inches of rainfall we're seeing, this all mixed together to create all these water issues across north central Florida.
And what about tornadoes? You know, we were supposed to be on the bad side of the hurricane over here in the Gainesville area and everything. I saw a few reports, but was that really as bad as it could have been?
You know, we were under a tornado watch, and watch means, you know, this could or could not happen. A warning means we're seeing an active rotation in our radar. Funnel clouds are possible here. And we did see 3, according to the Storm Prediction Center, there's probably been more, 3 confirmed tornadoes in north central Florida, 2 in Columbia and 1 in Union, 2 just around the Lake City area, and then in Union, right around west of the Worthington Springs area.
Okay, so
that was yesterday.
Well, it could have been much worse. Of course, the downed trees that we're seeing. I guess really we have so much water in the ground right now that this is just
soil.
Is that what's happening?
Yes, all of this water saturates the soil, and we've been seeing that way before Debby even came in. All of these typical thunderstorms or typical summer pattern has been saturating our soil. So when Debby just came in and added all that on top of it, saturates the tree roots, the tree limbs. Here comes our strong wind gusts on top of that, helps push the debris around, breaks things apart. It's a very unfortunate situation.
And we have more coming, right? I mean, we get a break, Wednesday?
Yeah, so the rain will continue. We're going to start to see the breaks in the rain starting later this evening, north central Florida, and the winds will start to reduce as well. But yes, the rain will continue until we reach those Wednesday overnight hours, the tropical rain from Debby as it moves north-northeast.
Are we above average or below average right now in our rainfall? Even though we've had a lot, we were dry before, but...
In June, we were very dry. We were moving into that severe level of drought. July really was a quick turnaround. We got lots of above average thunderstorms for that time of the season, which reduced us to a low level of drought. Now, I'm sure on Thursday when the drought monitor gets updated, we should be in the clear, which is going to be great, but because Debby brought in lots of rainfall, obviously. But yeah, it's a bit above average.
And any problems as it's going to be moving out of the state?
We're just going to continue to see the tail of it, which is the typical tropical rain. For us, we're going to be used to it. It's going to be like a typical back-to-back thunderstorms. But what's unfortunate is that we've already seen so many inches of rainfall now. We do not need any more added on top of this.
Yes, we just put some sod down, and it's been so nice to see. The grass looks green, but there's a point. We've had enough, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. It can be a bad thing to get too much rain, too.
Yes.
So.
All right. Well, thank you, Danielle. Well, stay with us. There's still much more to come here on your local station.
Surprises are not.
Danielle, you know, one of the things that's been great for me is having that TV20 weather app, because I get notifications right here telling me there's a tornado watch or more importantly, a warning.
I know, it helps me forecast. It's always right on it with the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service. It's great to consider downloading to your mobile device.
That's wonderful. And so I guess we are heading into more rain to talk about.
Yeah, the rain is going to continue. It's still going to be, what we're seeing now is going to be pretty steady for the next few hours. We're not going to intensify here. Now, remember, Hurricane Debby has downgraded back to a tropical storm Debby. Still, though, it's fresh. It just downgraded, so we're seeing about 70 miles per hour maximum sustained winds. It's only 74 to classify as a hurricane. So still seeing some strong wind gusts and heavy rainfall across north central Florida. This is a time lapse here, but still just about west of the Lake City area is where that eye is at this time. Still into the state of Florida. The path has been updated as well. It is, don't worry, moving out of north central Florida and out of Florida completely, not planning to come back to our area. It will stay a tropical storm for our friends north of us into the southeast of the United States here, eventually moving back inland to the eastern seaboard. So Debby is still planning on lingering around the United States, but at least it's moving out of our area, Myra.
Size-wise, that looks like a pretty large area
yes.
this is covering here. So
Yes.
is that above average?
Yeah, I mean, they're all different. It's all about the winds and the rainfall here that really determines. It's not necessarily its size here, but since it's been marinating over the waters for so long and the really warm waters, nearly 90 degrees this month, usually we don't even see that till like early September, mid-September, it's allowed to really grow. And it's only moving 8 miles per hour right now in north central Florida. That's why we're one of the regions that are going to be seeing so much rainfall across the entire state, because it's just slowly moving, trying to get out of the state.
Just hurry on along out.
As it's, you know, if it's slowly moving, it's still slamming us with the rain. The faster it moves out, the faster the rain can move out with it.
And we're ready for that.
Yes.
Thanks, Danielle. Well, WCJB TV20 is your local station to watch. We'll have more news and weather coming up after the break. Hurricane Debby is now a tropical storm on the way, moving out of Florida, leaving lots of flooding in its wake, and the rain isn't over yet. First Alert meteorologist Danielle Van Pelt has the latest.
Good afternoon, North Central Florida. Still at this time tracking Tropical Storm Debby, still impacting the state of Florida, specifically North Central Florida. North Central Florida is going to be one of the regions across the entire state that will see the most flooding throughout the storm. Still impacting our area at this time. Came in around that 7 a.m. hour to the Steinhatchee area, just sandwiched in between Taylor and Dixie counties here. Currently, that eye is just about 35 miles west of Lake City at this time. Still in our state, eventually moving northeast out to our friends north of us, into impacting southeastern United States, still impacting as a tropical storm. Not slowing down anytime soon, but for our area here, North Central Florida, it will later tonight be on its way out. If we get a good look at Tropical Storm Debby at this time, North Central Florida, these rain bands are back to back. Sometimes it's going to be a little intense in your area. You're going to get a bit of a break. When I mean break, it's still going to rain, just some lighter showers, and then stronger rain bands will move back into the area. But slowly but surely, as the time progresses throughout today, it will start to slow down and the intensity will reduce with it. Still, if we get a good look here, it's the Lake City Live Oak area getting most of the energy within the storm cell. These red boxes you see here are flash flood warnings. Like I said, still following that northeast pass, currently moving 8 miles per hour. It's very slow moving. It's slow moving storms mean they're practically steady in place, continuing to slam us with the rain. The land is friction. It will slow it down, but still has that strength from the water. Wind gusts, gusting nearly 40 miles per hour in Gainesville, over 40 miles per hour in Jacksonville, and 33 miles per hour in Tallahassee. Still, South Florida, even Central Florida, are still seeing some strong wind gusts at this time. The storm is pulling lots of wind directions here into that counterclockwise rotations. These are low pressure systems. Debby has traveled quite some way yesterday, impacting southwest Florida, bringing them plenty of flooding conditions, but it made its technical Florida landfall into the Steinhatchee area, Taylor and Dixie counties here as a Category 1 hurricane thanks to the very warm ocean temperatures. Now downgraded to a tropical storm because it has run into land. Land is not fuel for these guys, it's friction, it's slowing things down. Water is the fuel. However, you'll notice it remains a tropical storm as it interacts with coastal areas on the land here, and that is because of the very warm ocean temperatures we're seeing here between us. The Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean takes about 79 to 80 degrees to withstand a tropical storm or hurricane. We're seeing 82 out in the Atlantic, helping it give some fuel to keep Tropical Storm Debby going for these areas. Won't be a threat to Florida. The reason we did see Debby from a tropical storm jump to a Category 1 hurricane is because we were nearly 90 degrees in the Gulf of Mexico. Very soupy, very warm, but the warmer it is, the more rapid intensification we can see. We look at the current rainfall here in north central Florida. Every time I jump on here, we always increase just a little bit, still about over 3 inches of rain in one area of Marion County. We move about southwest of Ocala here, over 7 inches of rain. We move north into Alachua County, 8 inches of rain. The blue colors you see here north of Branford and just about the Cedar Key area. Over 13 inches of rain over here in Branford. My, oh my, now over 14 inches of rain. This is still ongoing. We're still seeing rain in these areas. Over 5 inches of rain just about south of Chiefland, around the Bell area, nearly 10 inches of rain. Like I said, this is continuing to ongoing. Very slow, steady, slow-moving storm, practically steady conditions will continue to slam us with the rain. The faster the system moves out, the faster the rain goes along with it. If we're talking about storm surge, we're still waiting on these numbers to come in. This just made landfall this morning, but still, we're seeing still at our ranking for the Big Bend region where it made landfall, 6 to 10 feet of storm surge. This is feet, and 3 to 5 all the way down from south of Cedar Key, just about north of Sarasota. Everywhere in the coastlines here will be has seen some storm surge from this system. Now let's look at the 7-day forecast north central Florida. When are things going to get back on track here? 100% for the rest of today. The first alert weather day is not going away anytime soon. We'll move back to our typical summer pattern on Thursday with 40% chance of rain. Wednesday, it's looking good though, 20%.
We're learning new details about the death of a 13-year-old boy after strong winds knocked a tree down on a mobile home. TV 20's Misty Webb joins us live at the home. Misty, what is the update?
More trucks have come in to help clean the debris, and they have began attempting to remove the large tree from the mobile home. I'll take a step aside so you can see how much of the tree they have been able to remove, although you can't really see it too much because the truck actually just went in. But officials say the 13-year-old boy was living with his grandparents. Both of his grandparents were home, but they weren't hurt. They say the boy was sleeping when the tree fell onto the mobile home. He then died instantly. The grandparents are staying in a camper until they can find somewhere else to live permanently. The sheriff of Levy County says they prepare for dangerous situations such as this one, but did not expect this tragedy. Live in Levy County, Misty Webb, TV 20 News.
Several roads are underwater on the island of Cedar Key. This video was submitted by Michael Presley Bobbitt. Levy County Sheriff's deputies confirm some roads are not passable in the area. Here's another video, also from Michael Presley Bobbitt. The water is high enough to halfway submerge a car. As you can see, that video came in at night. Levy County Sheriff's deputies shared these photos on Facebook. Deputies say they're monitoring for a second surge. We're following power outages in north central Florida. Let's check in now with TV 20's Kristen Chase.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Right now in Florida, 273,000 people are out of power. Pretty much 30 minutes ago, we checked back in, and that number was closer to 300,000. So the number has gone down, but not significantly. And as you can see, that red is mostly in our area, north central Florida. So let's get a look at some of our counties. Here we go, Dixie County. Almost 80% of customers are out of electricity. That's 803 around 8,000 customers there. So moving now to Levy County, 42% of customers are without traffic. And again, this is all according to poweroutage.us. So this one really dark red here. Suwannee County, the highest in our area, 93% of customers are without power. So that's around 23,000 customers. So again, let's get one last check. Gilchrist County, 64%. That's around 6,600 customers. So again, in all of Florida, 273,000 people are without power. And if you need to report an outage, you can call one of the numbers on our screen. GRU is 352-334-2871. Duke is 800-228-8485. FPL is 1-800-468-8243. And we'll also have this information on our website, WCJB.com. Well, viewers are sending us their photos and videos from the storm. This was sent in by Dan in Cross City showing some flooding. Well, this is a new video this afternoon. This is video of a very large sinkhole that is open in Newberry. Jerry sent this over and says it's in the Avalon Woods neighborhood. Well, here's another photo. This one from Old Town near Highway 55A. It was sent in by Harvey and Sarah showing some downed trees. And finally, this photo showing a downed tree that actually got caught there on a car in Northwest Gainesville. This comes from Gene Jones, and they actually said the car saved the house. If you can see there up at the top, it looks like that car did hold that actual tree branch from hitting the house. Well, you can share your photos or videos by going to WCJB.com and click on the Submit Photos and Videos button. You can also send them over email, Facebook, or through the TV20 News and weather apps. Don't put yourself in any harm's way getting these. We appreciate anything you can get to us safely. Myra, back to you.
Thanks, Kristen. As Debbie is marching ahead, officials in Gilchrist County are sending an important message before they begin to clean up what's left behind. TV20's Alexis Goings joins us live now from the Emergency Operations Center in Bell. Alexis, what do officials want residents to know?
Well, Myra, there are no major damages to any homes or businesses in Gilchrist County as we know of right now. Well, Gilchrist County Sheriff Bobby Schultz told me that their main issues that they are seeing are downed trees, power lines, and major flooding. But aside from that, he says he spoke to sheriffs in other counties and wants to send a clear message to possible movers.
Our coastal towns or coastal areas are hurting. They'll be without power. There'll be residents that's been displaced. We tell those people who want to come to our area or who live in our area that wants to go and burglarize and steal, don't do it.
Schultz says State Roads 47 between County Roads 232 and 340 are temporarily closed. Crews will begin cleanup once the storm has subsided. And Schultz continues to urge residents to stay indoors and off the road until they can get everything back to normal. In Bell, Alexis Goings, TV20 News.
Thank you, Alexis. And our team coverage of Debbie continues. Danielle is back with your full forecast next.
Hello, North Central Florida. Still tracking Tropical Storm Debby at this time, still impacting our area in North Central Florida. Currently, that I&I wall stationed just about 35 miles west of Lake City at this time, right around the Branford and Perry area. Still into North Central Florida, has not left the state yet the rain bands are definitely impacting southern areas of Georgia at this time. And along with those rain bands, still seeing more rain bands impacting North Central Florida as well. Most of the energy is starting to leave the area, though, North Central Florida, leaving us still with wet and rainy conditions, but the intensity is starting to go down. But still, any amount of rainfall that North Central Florida continues to see is just going to be added on top of the flooding conditions we're seeing right now. Yes, huge storm for a Category 1 hurricane as it made landfall into our region, but now it's starting to break up. We can slowly start to see it starting to become more disorganized. Here you can see that organized ice starting to crumble and break down just a little bit, but still its tail is crossing central areas of Florida, eventually into North Central Florida later tonight, moving into Tuesday. But at this time, North Central Florida continues to see just some heavy rain bands still in our area. But that is slowly but surely going to start leaving the area as well, north central Florida. Right now, we are next to that eye. That eye will not be moving into Alachua County or anything like that. It's still following that north-northeast direction, currently moving 8 miles per hour. Those maximum sustained winds are 70 miles per hour. It only takes 74 miles per hour to be classified as a Category 1 hurricane. So this is fresh. This is a fresh downgrade that just dropped into 70 miles per hour, indicating we still see some very strong wind gusts and wind speeds. Currently, depending on your area here, these are always changing. Nearly 40 miles per hour wind gusts in Gainesville, still 33 in Tallahassee, and over 40 miles per hour gusts for Jacksonville. Even Central Florida and South Florida at this time, we're still seeing some pretty decent wind gusts that are above average, 26, all the way moving into the 30s into Central Florida. These storms pull a lot of energy here, and it did come in as a Category 1 hurricane thanks to the very warm ocean temperatures we see in the Gulf of Mexico here. The Atlantic just as warm as well, but now as it starts to move inland, it's friction. Think about it, if you're driving on the interstate going 75 miles per hour and then, traffic just appeared out of nowhere. You slam on your brakes and you're in traffic and you're moving slowly, but you're moving. That's exactly how it is with these storms as they move inland. Moving pretty quickly over the water, now moving only 8 miles per hour here north-northeast, but still moving. But thanks to it practically being in place, it's going to continue to slam us with rain. Even though the intensity of the rain bands are starting to reduce in our area here in Florida, not so much for southern Georgia, it's still additional rain being added to our area. Tropical storm will continue all the way as it moves up the eastern seaboard, thanks to the very warm ocean temperatures in the Atlantic, nearly 82 to 85 degrees out here in the Atlantic Basin. The Gulf of Mexico, nearly 90 degrees, very warm at this time of the month. And the warmer the water, the more rapid intensification, hence why we saw that big jump last night around 11 p.m. from a tropical storm Debby to a Category 1 Hurricane Debby. But like I said, land slows these things down, but still heavy rainfall across north central Florida, and we're still seeing that here. Just about eastern area of Marion County, it's not too bad, about over 3 inches of rain in this region. We go southwest, over 7 inches of rain in this region. Big jump, we move north into Alachua County, over 8 inches of rain here. 15 now in Branford, over 13 around the Cedar Key area, and nearly 10 inches around the Bell area. These rain bands will continue to slam north central Florida, but they're starting to break up as we move into Tuesday overnight hours. We're moving back to a typical summer pattern for us, but it's still tropical rain impacting the area, so not our typical sea breezes. But the rain intensity will be how we typically see it. Tornado watches across north central Florida, but here in the northwest still, flash flood warnings at this time. I know that was a lot of information, north central Florida, so we'll break it down, continuing until the Monday evening hours. Now a tropical storm, still 4 to 10 feet storm surge we saw roughly across north central Florida earlier today. Hurricane wind gusts across coastal areas. Still isolated tornadoes are a risk, still under that tornado watch for inland areas. First alert weather day continues for the rest of today on our Monday. Tuesday, 40% chance of rain. That's the tropical rain. Wednesday, all that moisture goes with the storm as it moves to the southeast states. Thursday, we're back to our typical sea breeze summer pattern.
You said 15 inches in Branford?
Yes.
That's a lot of rain. Is that the highest level in our area, or did it get any higher?
Just as it's been tracking from Debby, that's specifically from like Debby alone.
That's a lot of rain.
And
we have rivers that will be cresting in that area as well. So
Hatchie,
how many days does that typically take?
Well, for it to go down, it's going to take a numerous amount of days. Like I said, we're still going to continue to see that tropical rain impacting the area. Yes, we're seeing, obviously, in certain areas, 15 inches of rain. Some areas only 5, 8.
Yes.
But we're still going to continue to see the light showers lingering for the next few days. It's just going to keep building and building, reducing the possibility of those rivers to start to go back down.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Care precision.
Meteorologist Danielle Van Pelt is back with us to talk more about the weather, answer some of our questions. And I guess one thing probably most people are thinking about is this is our first named storm of the season. Well, you know, other than Beryl, yes. But for us to have landfall here in our area this year, so we're just starting out, right?
Yes, we are into the early month of August. August and September are our peak months in Florida for hurricane season. We tend to see more hurricanes in late August, early mid-September. We haven't reached that area yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what's developing. Besides Debby, what we're currently seeing now, there is a disturbance out in the Atlantic Basin spinning up some trouble right now. Right now, its little forecasted path of formation is nowhere near our area. It's actually going to follow, at this time, a very similar pattern as Beryl did and stay very west down south of the Atlantic Basin. But bringing this up because we're still seeing these disturbances forming. The ocean water is very warm. The winds are starting to be more favorable at this season, less wind shear. These storms like less wind shear. If there's more wind shear, it's intense winds going in different direction and height. It'll rip them apart. So the conditions are being more favorable, so we're just going to continue to keep tracking them.
And we were predicting a rather, well, we weren't, but the Weather Service predicting a rather active season?
Yes. National Weather Service, Colorado State University, many organizations are predicting it just because of the very warm water conditions we're seeing pretty early on, nearly 90 degrees right now. We typically don't see something like that till September. The winds are becoming more favorable, and we're moving into that El Nino season.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. Well, while Debbie is moving on, she's still a very unwelcome visitor here in North Central Florida. Let's just move right on out, causing some trouble as it stalls around here, right?
Yes, it's weakening, but it's slowing down on top of that. That's part of the double-edged sword, I guess you could say here. Currently moving about 8 miles per hour. Used to be about 10, 11, 12, but it's starting to slow down a little bit. And as it's slowing down, that basically means it's staying in place. 8 miles per hour is not that much. So it's just going to continue to slam us with the rain here in North Central Florida.
All right.
Yes.
Well, we don't want that.
No, but it'll eventually be moving. It's still moving into that north-northeast direction here, still at those 8 miles per hour, but the wind speeds is 70 miles per hour. And a Category 1 hurricane, the minimum to reach that is 74. We're seeing 70 right now. It's only a 4 miles per hour difference. So we're still seeing some very strong winds and heavy rainfall in certain regions across North Central Florida as it slowly but surely starts to move on its way out.
Anything good news for later in this week for us?
Tuesday, the rain chances are big drop, 40%. Wednesday, only 20% chance of rain here, sunshine all around because these big storms, we get a huge bit of a cool down here and it takes all the moisture along with it. So we're going to be drying out on Wednesday before Thursday. We move back to our sea breezes, stirring up those typical thunderstorms. We're back to normal.
All right. Well, we are looking forward to that.
I know, we missed the normal, right, guys?
Well, thank you so much. We'll have more coverage for you beginning at 4 o'clock today and updates throughout the day. Have a nice afternoon.